Today's meditation is based on Romans 11 from the Passion Translation. God didn't push aside and reject his chosen destined people, but he preserved a remnant for himself. And in this age of fulfillment, God's grace empowers his chosen remnant. Since it is by God's grace, it can't be a matter of good works. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a gift of grace, but earned by human effort. Salvation now extends to all the non-Jewish people. The gifts of God have been freely given to me. I am greatly enriched, and great spiritual wealth is given to me. The temporary rejection of God by his chosen people released the reconciling power of grace into the world. So what will happen when Israel is reinstated and reconciled to God? It will unleash resurrection power throughout the whole earth. If the roots of a tree are holy and set apart for God, so too will be the branches. I was once nothing more than a wild olive branch, but God has grafted me in, inserting me among the remaining branches as a joint partner to share in the wonderful richness of the cultivated olive stem. So I am not so arrogant as to believe that I am superior to the natural branches. There's no reason to boast, for the new branches don't support the root, but I owe my life to the root that supports me. I do not dare to think that some branches were pruned or broken off just to make room for me. They were removed because of their unbelief, but I am only attached by my faith. So I am not presumptuous, but stand in awe and reverence. I know that if the natural branches that fell into unbelief were pruned, I would be as well because of unbelief. I fix my gaze on the simultaneous kindness and strict justice of God. How tender and kind is his relationship with me, yet how severely will he treat those who fall into unbelief. So I keep on trusting in his kindness so that I will not be cut off. God is more than ready to graft back in the natural branches when they turn from clinging to their unbelief to embracing faith. If God grafted me in, even though I was taken from what is by nature a wild olive tree, how much more can he reconnect the natural branches by inserting them back into their own cultivated olive tree? A partial and temporary hardening to the gospel has come over Israel, which will last until the full number of non-Jews has come into God's family. And then God will bring all of Israel to salvation. This was prophesied. It was his covenant promise with Israel. Their opposition opened the door of the gospel to me, a non-Jew. Yet they are still greatly loved by God, because their ancestors were divinely chosen to be his. And when God chooses someone and graciously imparts gifts to him, they are never rescinded. I was once a rebel against God, but now I have experienced God's tender mercies. And because of God's tender mercies to me, I can open the door to them to share in and enjoy what God has made available to everyone who believes. God considers all of humanity to be prisoners of their unbelief. He longs to unlock our hearts and show his tender mercies to all who come to him. I cannot even wrap my mind around the riches of God, the depth of his wisdom, and the marvel of his perfect knowledge. I can never explain the wonder of his decisions or search out the mysterious way he carries out his plans. It would be impossible for me to give something to God that would obligate God to owe me something in return. For out of him, the sustainer of everything, came everything, and now everything finds fulfillment in him. I give all praise and honor to him alone forever. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.